I don't want to be cliche about this intro, but I know this has been on many people's minds. And is IRPD the same thing as Men in Black? Find out in this review from lukemick. So yeah, most of you are probably thinking, is this movie Men in Black? And let's go over the story a little bit. R.I.P.D. is about a pretty good cop who gets killed in the line of duty by the name of Ryan Reynolds, I might add. I'm sure you've seen the trailer and seen that he gets fucking wasted. So Ryan Reynolds is a cop, and instead of going to either heaven or hell, he gets assigned to the IRPD, or as it's actually called, the Rest in Peace Department, and he gets paired up with his new partner, Jeff Bridges, who is a cowboy from the 1700s, and they go around Boston killing deados, which are people that died and they didn't go anywhere really. They just kind of went back down to earth, and their souls are rotting, and they're these big, ugly, CG freaking monsters. And that's pretty much the plot of the movie, and it really is a lot like Men in Black. Pretty much is the same thing. This movie has little differences, but for the most part, it's just kind of a Men in Black knockoff. And I mean knockoff in the worst possible way. Let's talk about the performances here. Ryan Reynolds, I don't know, I haven't watched many of his movies. I saw part of Buried, and he seemed to do a really good job in that movie, and it is a good movie, I'm sure. But he's been in some really bad stuff lately, and I think he's a likable guy, but I don't think the writing in this movie really gave him much, and he does what he has to do, and that goes the same for Jeff Bridges. He does what he has to do as well, but they're not necessarily that likable. You don't really get to know them, and you don't really care what really happens to them, I guess, because you're just not attached to them, and that kind of goes into the performances, and it kind of goes into, just, yeah, the way the characters are written. Kevin Bacon's also in the movie, and I like Kevin Bacon, but then again, the characters in this movie are written paper thin. They just aren't that fleshed out at all, and it just there wasn't that grab. You couldn't get a grasp on these characters. You just didn't really care about any of them, and the way they performed, just the way the movie was written, the script was really bad for the most part. I mean, it just didn't give the actors enough, and these are some talented people. Jeff Bridges is a talented guy, and I really wish that he could have had better lines, and the same goes for Kevin Bacon, Ryan Reynolds, whatever, I guess. But I just didn't feel that. And the movie tries to get these really emotional scenes, and it just doesn't feel that emotional, and I think it's just the way they performed and the way it was all written out. It just wasn't executed very well, and this goes for the whole movie. Now, if you guys know, I really don't like CGI. I don't like CG effects, and this movie used them so excessively. Like, they could have done other stuff, but they decided to cop out and use this shitty CGI, and it looked awful. Like, it was some of the worst CGI I've ever seen, and I saw that in the trailer. I was like, oh, the CGI is what's really going to get to me, and it is awful, and it's used so unnecessarily. It's just, it didn't need to be that much CGI, and it didn't need to be that crappy. The movie was also just sort of random and convoluted. It was really messy, and I was sitting there for most of the time, and the movie's just kind of going by a thread. There really isn't a lot to make you really want to know what happens. Like, I didn't really care at all. It just kept going. It was just Jeff Bridges and Ryan Reynolds bantering back and forth and not liking each other, and that was pretty much the whole movie, while you see a bunch of CGI monster fucks running around. So the movie really, it was alright entertainment-wise, but it just seemed like there was no point to it. I was sitting there in the theater just wondering, what am I doing right now? I'm just kind of wasting time. There's really no point to this movie. It's not going anywhere, really. Pretty much the whole time they're just following Kevin Bacon around, and that wasn't very entertaining. Now, the one thing I can say that is good about the movie, and this is really one of the only things I liked, is the direction and just like the visual style. The guy who directed this, I don't know his name, he directed Red, and I didn't see that movie. I don't think I've seen any of his movies, but he uses a lot of zoom-ins and zoom-outs, and they looked really cool and stylish, and the way the camera would follow, like, car chases or the characters, I thought the movie looked really nice, and with the camera aspect, with the CGI aspect, definitely that's a big know that it did not look good in that department, but I think with the way the movie was shot, it looked really good, and that's really, unfortunately, one of the only good things I can say about the movie. So overall, I think R.I.P.D. is just a big, bloated mess of a bunch of CGI monsters, poorly written characters, and just messiness. It just wasn't a very good movie. The only thing I really liked is the way that they shot it, and the direction. That's really all I liked. So the movie, unfortunately, has to get a 1 out of 5 stars. I really don't recommend it. It is truly just a really bad, pretty much, Men in Black knockoff, and I don't recommend you guys seeing it. So this is lukemick signing off. Please subscribe. I'll have more reviews coming this week, and I have a bunch of other videos that I have not edited yet that I will be uploading soon, and I'll talk to you guys later.